You know the old statement from the Talmud, you can't end services if you don't begin them. So with that in mind, not that we're rushing to end, we want to linger in all this, but we do want to usher in 5783 with a sense of excitement and eagerness. Rizin makdimin la mitzvah. That the Talmud actually says, that those who are eager rush to do a mitzvah in the same way that we'll rush out after Kol Nidre, after Ne'ilah, and put up the first little piece of our sukkah. We want to rush into the service. We're going to start with Mincha, which I will find the page very soon. But Joey will find it quicker, is my guess. 431. What did I tell you? Page 431.
Ashrei Yoshvei Beitecha Yulu Chasel Ashrei Shakach Lo Ashrei Shadnai Lo Ha.
No, you're over there.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Bring a chair up here.
Tehillat Adonai Yadaber Pi V'Yivarech Kol Basar Shem Kodesh Le'olam Va'ed V'Anachnu Nevarech Yamei Tavir Olam. Hallelujah.
Please rise, Chatzi Kaddish.
Yitgadav Yigdash Shemei Rabbi.
Amen.
Ve'amad Yivrak Yirtei V'Imlich Malchutei B'Chayechon V'Yomechon V'Chayetei Kol Beit Yisrael Bagalav Yizman Kari V'Imru.
Amen. Yehi Shmerach Olam V'Mayam.
Yitbarach V'Yishtabach V'Yitbar V'Yituram V'Yitnaseh V'Yitadar V'Yitalev V'Yitalal Shmei T'Kudsha.
Richu.
Kol Birchata V'Shirata Tushkata V'Nechemata Damiram B'Yamav V'Imru.
Amen. We'll do the Amidah and Hecha Kedusha. Rabbi Bernat Kunin will begin with the blessings on 433 and 434. We'll say the Kedusha responsively on 434, and then we go back to 433 and say the Amidah to ourselves. Omit the section that says before Yom Kippur. We are indeed before Yom Kippur, but that means immediately before Yom Kippur. So we're still pre-high holidays for this Amidah.
Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu v'Elei Avotenu v'Imaotenu Elokei Avraham leYitzhak v'Elokei Yaakov Elokei Sarah leRivka leRachel v'Leah Ha'el HaGadol Gibor v'Nora El Elyon Gomer Chasadim Tovim v'Konei Yaakov Zocher Chasdei Avot v'Imot מביא גואל לבני בניהם למען שמו באהבה מלך עוזר ופוקד ומשיח מגן ברוך אתה אדוני מגן אברהם ופוקד שרה אתה גיבור לעולם אלוהים מחיי מתים אתה רב להושיע מכלכל חיים בחסד מחיי מתים ברחמים רבים סומך נופלים וחולים מתיר אסורים מגן מנטול לשני עפר מי כמוך בגבורות ומדומי לך מלך ממית מחיי מצמיח ישועה ונאמן אתה לך חיות מתים, ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיי מתים. נגדי ששמך בעולם כשם שמעתי שמותו בשמי מרום, ככתוב היד נביאך וקרא זה אל זה ויאמר. קדוש, 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 אדוני צבאות, מלך הארץ כבודו, למתן ברוך יאמרו. ברוך כבוד אדוני ממקומו, ודברי קודשך כתוב לאמור. ימלוך אדוני לעולם, אל חי ציון, לדובדו הללויה, לדובדו נגיד גודלך, לנצח נצחים חדשות פרט נקדיש, בשפחך להינו מפינו לימוש לעולם ועד, כי המלך גדול וקדוש אתה, ברוך אתה אדוני. האל הקדוש.
If you haven't yet completed your own private Amidah, please continue at your own pace. Kaddish Shalom is found on page 441.
יקרא וקדש שמי רבה, ויאמר דברי קירתי ומחמחותי בחייכם, ויאמרכם וחי לכל בית ישראל, בעגלה וזמן קריב ואמרו, יהי שמי רבה מבורך, לעולם עולמי יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי לקודשה. לעולם כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבתה ונחמתה, דמירן ביומה ואמרו, תקבל צלתכם ותאכלו לכל ישראל, קדמו אבהונדי ושמעיה ואמרו, יהי שלום רבה מן שמיה וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו, עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו.
Amen. Aleinu is on page 442.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת לו את זה בראשית שלוש ולא זמן. תקנו למה מחודשת. ככתוב בתורתך, לא ימלוך לעולם ועד, ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא, יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
Mourner's Kaddish is found on page 443.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה,
Amen.
ועלמה דברה קירותי וימליך מלכותי, בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל, בעגלה וזמן קריב ואמרו, יהי שמי רבה מבורך לעולם ולעולמי. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה, לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דמירן בעלמה ואמרו, אמן. יהי שלמה רבה מן שמיה, וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו,
Amen.
עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו, אמן.
Shar Koach, Rabbi Gordon Bernat Kunin. We were so close to the end of the Machzor, even past the shofar blowing, but now we go all the way back. We're going to have to earn the 400s over the next few days with our prayers, with our intentionality, with our open hearts, and with our willingness to take this season seriously. We go back to page 5. I'm going to ask you to rise as Rabbi Chorny starts intoning the music which indicates what season we are in instantly. If you grew up with this ritual or if you've been coming to it later in life, there's something about these first few notes that indicate, even before we're thinking about it, directly to our ears and to our heart, what it is we're supposed to be focusing on this season. And this will be the main nusach that we do for tonight, for tomorrow night, and also for Kol Nidre 10 nights from tonight, 9 nights from tonight. Page 5, please rise to the Baruch Hu, after which you may be seated.
Mavir yom umevi laila ומבדיל בין יום ובין לילה. אדוני צבאות שמו אל חי וקיים. תמידים לו עלינו לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני המריב הרבים. אהבת עולם בית ישראל. כי הם חיינו לאורך ימינו ובהם נגי יומם ולילה ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב עמו ישראל. שמע ישראל אדוני אלוהינו אדוני אחד. אדוני אלוהיכם ממי שמונה כל זו וקיים עלינו כי הוא אדוני אלוהינו ויסודתו. ומלכותו ברצון קיבלו עליהם משה ובני ישראל לך שים לכל רבה ויאמרו כולם מי כמוך באלים אדוני מי כמוך נדר בקודש נורות תהילות על מלכותך ראו בניך בוקע לפני משה זה לי אנו ויאמרו אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. נאמר כי פתח אדוני את יעקב וגלו מיד חזק ממנו. ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשם ושמור צאתנו בואנו לחיים ושלום יטובי עד עולם ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך. ברוך אתה אדוני הפורס סוכת שלום עלינו והולי כל עמו ישראל ועל ירושלים.
Please rise, page 10.
תקראו בחודש שופר לכסי ליום חגנו כי חוק Kadosh Shemei Rabbah
Amen.
V'Hamad Yivarach Yirutei V'Yamlich Malchutei V'Chayei Chon U'V'Yomei Chon U'V'Chayitcha Beit Yisroel V'Gala U'V'Zman Mikariv V'Meru Ani Yesh Me'Rabba Levarach Le'Halam L'Halim Le'Halayah
Yitbarach.
Yitbarach V'Yishtabach V'Yitbahar V'Yitramam V'Yitnaseh V'Yitadar V'Yitalei V'Yitalal Shemei Tekudesha Berichu Liheila Liheila Mikol Birchata V'Shirata Tushbechata V'nechemata Daliron Be'oma V'imiru Amin.
The Amidah that begins on page 11 is not supposed to be rushed. Take your time. We have lots of hours over the season. Let your eyes go over the words. Let your spirit float beyond the words. No one is rushing us. This is our opportunity for quiet introspection, to imbibe the inherited words of our tradition, and to reach, even for a moment, a slightly elevated plane. Kaddish Shalem, page 19.
Yitzkata, Shemi Rabba, Me'om Hativra, Rute, Me'om Lik Malchute, V'chaychon, Uvyomechon, Uchayei Techo Beit Yisroel, Ba'akala, Uvizman Kariv, V'himeru, Amen. Yehi Shemi Rabba Mevarach, V'lam Ulamei Yomaya, Yitbarach V'yishtabach, V'yitbar V'yitromam, V'yitnaseh, V'yitzhadar V'yitalei V'yitalal, Shemei Dikudesh Shabirichu, Le'ela, Le'ela, Mikol Birchata V'shirata, Tishbechata V'nechemata, Damiran Bihamalimeru, Amen. Titkabal Salotehon, Utehon Nikol Yisroel, Kadam Avuhon, Divishmaiha, 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 Vimeru, Vimeru, Amen. Yesh Lamarava, Nijamaya, V'chaim, Aleinu, Ve'hakol Yisroel, V'meru, V'meru, Amen. Hase Shalom B'romav, Hase Shalom, Aleinu, Aleinu, Ve'hakol Yisroel, V'meru, Amen.
Maybe seated. Shana Tov. Shana Tov, everyone, and Good Yantif. I saw the following unattributed quote this week flying around the internet. The best part of a concert is being surrounded by people that feel the same way about the band on stage as you do. You can turn in any direction and talk to a complete stranger and be their best friend 5 minutes later. We all know those lyrics. We all paid to see them. We all bought their CDs, dated. We all love that feeling that spreads over you when that band we all love comes out on stage and plays the songs that saved us when we were down. That is the best feeling in the entire world. On some level, it's some of the magic that I've experienced my entire life as a Jew when I come to shul in general and when I come to shul in the high holidays. It's rare that you're in a place in life where there's such a singular purpose amongst the gathering. We might have many micro-purposes, but we're all here for the same reason. We're all connected to generally the same music. And if you wanted to, you could become very close friends with every person sitting around you simply by opening up a conversation. And so we're here for that music, and we're here for the same experience. And in this gathering and in the many gatherings that were going to happen over the next 2 days, it's just an honor and a joy to be sharing this concert, which is not a concert, it's a participation, with all of you. Many of you know that I take this opportunity, even though it's not the largest attended service of our season, I take this opportunity to express hakarat hatov, express gratitude to some of the people that make this institution work. I can't mention everyone by name, but I try to highlight some of the extraordinary work done by so many members of our staff, because it seems wrong to launch the season without doing so. I do want to praise in one specific way amongst the many, many ways I could, in particular the members of the senior staff with whom I work so closely every day. To Cheryl Goldman, our executive director, who absorbs so much stress and pressure and critique on the backside so that everything looks as it should be on the front side. You come to this place and you assume that everything is always working exactly as it ought to. When it doesn't, it's on her desk and on her shoulders. And when the place feels as it should, it's because of her work and effort. And I'm so grateful to you, Cheryl, this day and every day. Express gratitude to my Bima partner, Rabbi Cantor Hillary Chorney, who amongst many other talents mellifluously combines the inherited tradition and the constantly renewed innovation that a traditional and modern synagogue like us requires. And it's not simple to do it as well as you do it every week. I want to express gratitude to my other Bima partner, Rabbi Rebecca Schatz, who again, in addition to many, many other ways in which she enriches this community, has been working so hard in the last few months to enrich the experience of particular new members to our community who may not know how to navigate their way in, but through her they have a friend, they have a hand to hold, they have someone who's cheerful and optimistic and so clearly cares about their experience, and our community will grow in number and in spirit because of your efforts in that regard and beyond. I want to express gratitude to Rabbi Matthew Shapiro, our Director of Youth Learning and Engagement, who also, in addition to so many other things, found a way to unlock something magical as we were trying to figure out how this community was going to emerge out of this pandemic, and started creating some of the services and events and gatherings that became the most popular things that we did in this community, more popular than Shabbat, where Rabbi Shapiro's programs bringing young families in. And that's going to pay dividends for decades, Rabbi Shapiro, and we're grateful for your keen eye and your patience and your willingness to try over and over again until you get things right. I don't think she's here tonight, but I want to recognize and honor Dr. Erica Rothblum, our head of school, who somehow found a way in an era where we're reading article after article about struggling schools and closing schools and combining schools to make our Pressman Academy grow in the midst of a pandemic, which is an unbelievable feat of determination and grit. And really, almost all of that is due to her ferocious protection and guarding of this institution and the day school within it. I'm grateful to all 5 of those members of our team. I want to point out, particularly in this setting, Rana Sunday and also Art Mercado. I don't know if Art is here, but he's here somewhere tonight, who are really the ones who are ensured that every setup and every microphone and every room and every piece of decor is as it should be. And there are hundreds of things that go back and forth every day, including us making last-minute requests all the time that drive them nuts. And they say yes because they know that the details are important. And they don't get a whole lot of attention and public praise, but they ought to. If you see Art on the way out tonight, our Director of Facilities, or Rana over the next few days, please extend your warm gratitude to them. And to Ralph, our Director of Security, who stands out in front and literally puts himself between us and harm and us and danger, hoping he never has to use the expertise that he has. He's not just a professional, he really cares about Temple Beth Am. And he really cares about all of you, whether he's met you or not. And we are safer and more secure because of him and his leadership out there and on the inside. I also want to welcome back to Temple Beth Am the person whom I refer to, I think with no hyperbole and with great deference to my father-in-law, as the most famous conservative Jew alive. Rabbi Joshua Warshawski is back again at Temple Beth Am, and I think more people who self-identify as conservative Jews know of him and or of his music than any other person in our movement. And as I said to him privately earlier, I know it is the case that every conservative synagogue and many others in the country would love to have him and his voice and his unique talent and spirit with them on the high holidays, and we get him. And it's such a blessing to be davening again with you and to be partnering with you. And it's a particular burden for him because he's a new Abba. And we are so grateful that he is spending these days away from his new baby, Jonah. And I know that's not easy. And we don't take it for granted that you are choosing to be here instead of with them. And we hope that these few days are sufficiently meaningful to you that they were worth the effort and the sacrifice. Welcome, Rabbi Warshawski. It's also my honor to welcome to Temple Beth Am, Sydney Kamlager, and her husband, Austin Sydney, is our state senator for this district and for many members of this community. And we thank you for your dedication to this city and to public service, which we know is sometimes an overwhelming and under-regarded way to spend your life. And we appreciate what you do for all of us. And acharon chaviv, last but certainly not least, I want to express my gratitude and my admiration for the president of Temple Beth Am, Mark Samuel, who really is putting on, and I use this word not the way it's used colloquially, but what it actually means, an awesome display of leadership and dedication and focused effort to make this community stronger. Almost everything Mark does looks easy. I promise you it is not. And I'm looking forward to the next nearly 2 years of being your dear partner, Mark. How many of you watched the show This Is Us? Raise your hand. Everyone caught up, by the way? No, spoiler alert. Rebecca doesn't do well at the end. The very end of the last episode, if I spoiled it, I'm sorry, then, catch up. Come on. It was on a few months ago. A great NBC show. A great NBC show with a very poignant ending. At the very end, okay, I won't tell you who are. The two characters, they rhyme with Reth and Nebeka. In the last scene, Rebecca is dying, and her daughter-in-law, Beth, comes to her bedside. It's an extraordinary scene. And this is what Beth, did I ruin it for someone? And this is what Beth says to Rebecca towards the end. So much of being a mom is faking it, isn't it? We don't know what the hell we're doing. Not when they're young, not when they're older. So we fake it. We imitate what we think a mom should be. I had a good mom, but we were complicated. I just want to say, all these years, so many times when I was faking it, I was doing my best impression of you, Rebecca. And then she says about her husband and Rebecca's son, I'll take him the rest of the way, Mama. Thank you for helping me with that complicated, incredible, beautiful boy that you raised. But I've got him now. It was definitely a full Kleenex box of a scene. What that character is doing to the dying character in that scene is offering the gift of telling her before she slips from consciousness, telling her how she's going to be remembered. Maybe our most important work this season is starting work again on crafting and shaping and curating how we are going to be remembered. And to take control of that very process so that if and when it is whispered to us as we take our last breaths, the words are beautiful but familiar. Last breaths and legacies have been in the headlines. Almost literally the entire world was witness on some level to the last breaths of Queen Elizabeth. It was hard not to be a human being and be aware of the last few moments of this woman's life. And everyone alive on some level had a reaction. complicated reactions. There were some really important and hard things written about what it means to take an honest look at the monarchy, the legacy of imperialism, the archaic structure of this approach to leadership in a country, and some really dark legacies of brutal British colonialism. Her death really did stir that up, and we don't know what that's going to turn into as history continues to be lived and written and rewritten. And yet, because I think it's always important for us to live in a complicated way and to think in a complicated way, and more on that in my sermon tomorrow, this woman throughout her long life exhibited and exemplified a sense of presence, a stiff upper lip through hardship, a stalwart life of presence and stability and service. And even if it's hard to define the exact impact of her service, she did indeed live a life of one. There was some consistency to her being such that I remember thinking in the last few years, maybe she'll be the one to show us that it is possible to live forever, because it was almost impossible to imagine society without her. And many people in Britain will tell you that their experience of her is that she was living so that others could feel like there's a sense of meaning and order in life, a certain North Star to their existence. I want to say two things about the end of that life, as we are also in a season of addressing our King of Kings in the language of royalty. We also think about Malchut this season. The first thing is that this woman symbolized an enormous amount, but she didn't do a lot. That's not a critique. That's just the way the system is set up. On some level, thank goodness. I wonder if one of our frames for the next 48 hours, the next 10 days, is to do the simple trick of reversing that, of inverting that, of thinking that it's much more significant that we do something than that we symbolize something. We're constantly figuring out what we stand for, what we look like, what we symbolize, how people see us, how we're signaling in real life and digitally. What might it mean to put some of that aside and exchange symbolism for action? And in that way, taking the death of this queen and converting it into something that becomes a focus and a goal and a guide for us. And the second thing about the death of Queen Elizabeth, in particular, our rapt attention to it. The first line of the Shulchan Aruch, the Code of Jewish Law that was written in the 16th century, first in Tzfat, and then there was a gloss on it in Krakow. That in and of itself was a redoing, a recollecting of material that was written about a century and a half beforehand by a sage called the Tur. He wrote a book called the Arbat Turim, the 4 columns, that set out the 4 basic ways that we think about Jewish life. And the first line of the Tur, upon which the Shulchan Aruch was based, says the following. You're supposed to get out of bed in the morning to greet the light and to greet the Creator like a lion roaring. Not every morning is it easy to do that. Not now and not then. This is what Rabbi Yaakov ben Asher wrote about that. If you are struggling with getting out of bed in the morning to do holy work, to live your life, to claim this moment, v'yachshov belivo, you should think in your heart, ilu hayab avodat melach basar v'dam, if you were in service to a human king, v'tzivahu lashkim ba'or haboker, and that human king or queen commanded you to get up in the morning's light, la'avodato, to worship, to serve, to do work for that king or queen. Hayazahir, you would be very careful. V'zariz, you would be very hurried. La'amod la'avodato, to stand up to that service. Kasher tzivahu, exactly as you have been commanded. If you would do that, to a human king or queen. If you would pay that much attention to a queen's life and death when you're not even one of the subjects of that queen's life or death. Kol shekain, how much more so? Kal v'chomer b'no shel kal v'chomer. It's a how much more so argument, which is the son of a how much more so argument. It's so obvious that we should be aware that we should do the same thing lifnei melech malchei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu, before the King, who is the King of Kings, the Holy One, blessed be God's name. We're not always aware of it. It's not always in the front of our consciousness. The LA Times, the New York Times, the International Herald Tribune does not have a front page headline saying, today you have an obligation to serve your Creator. There are headlines about all sorts of kings and princes. Maybe this is a season and this is a year that we remind ourselves as we go through the many obligations and tasks of our life, earning our living and caring for our friends and family and activating for causes that we care about, that we also may want to pay attention to the Holy One, to what the Holy One refracted through our tradition tells us are our obligations. If we're going to pay attention to the Queen, how much more so to the King of Kings? That should be our legacy this year too. And it starts now. And it's not easy work, but we're all in it together. Shana Tova. Please rise for Kiddush.
Baruch atah Adonai melech haolam, borei piri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol amru, manu mikol lashon, v'kidshanu b'mitzvotav. V'titen lanu Adonai lenu b'ahava, et yom hazikaron hazeh, yom Turah, mikra kodesh, zecher litziat Mitzrayim. Kivanu v'charta, ve'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim, udvarcha emet v'kayam lad. Baruch atah Adonai, melech hakol haaretz, mekadesh Yisrael, ve'yom hazikaron. Baruch atah Adonai lenu melech haolam, shehecheyanu v'kiyemanu v'gianu lazman hazeh.
Remain standing for the Aleinu prayer on page 25.
Aleinu leshabeach ladon hakol, v'teit gedula liotze bereshit, shelo asanu kegoye haratzot, v'lo samanu k'nishbechot ha'adama, shelo samchel keinu kahen, v'gur aleinu kechol hamonam. Vaynachnu koreim umishachavim umodim lifnei melech malchei hamelachim hakadosh baruch hu shehu d'shamayim v'yisrael arei tzmachon. Kakatu בתורתך אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד נאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד.
We turn to page 27 for Psalm 27 for the holiday season.
L'David Adonai hori v'shimi mihra Adonai Maos Chayei. Lulehem madzi lirot b'tuv Adonai b'eretz chayim kavel Adonai chazak v'yametz libecha v'kavel Adonai.
Kadisha Tom, Mornis Kaddish, a reminder that we're now in the high holiday season, so we add the second Le'ela in that third paragraph.
Yitzgadal v'yitzkadash shemei rabbah. Me'alma divarach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei. V'chayichon uv'yomechon uv'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael. Ba'agala uv'yizman kari v'yimru amen. Yehi shemei rabbah mevarach le'alam u'lamei homaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yithadar v'yitaleh v'yithalal shemei dekudesha barichu. Le'ela le'ela mikol berchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechamata, damiran be'alma v'himru, amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'himru, amen. Hosei shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'himru, amen.
Amen. Shana Tova, everyone. We are going to just very briefly tell you what's going to be happening in the coming 2 days in terms of where people are speaking, where services are happening, and then if you have any other questions, there are signs all over, and as you're milling about over the next 2 days, you can see the same information that I'm going to share with you very briefly right now. So at 9 a.m. tomorrow, Rabbi Warshawski and I will begin Beitenu in the sanctuary. Cantor Chorny will be our darshanit at approximately 11 a.m.-ish. We are hoping that it is closer to 11 than not. At 9 a.m., library meeting will also begin in the gym right behind us over here. At 9:45, Shir Chadash will begin here on the field with Rabbi Kligfeld and Cantor Chorny, and the drash will be given by Rabbi Kligfeld around 11:30 a.m. So what you're going to notice in a moment is that we're also trying to make sure that the drashot are at different times, so that if you would like to hear multiple clergy, you can. If you can sermon hop all day if you'd like, or at least between 11 and 12. At 10:15, there's a teen program in Hirsch Hall. At 10:30 a.m., there's a family service with Rabbi Shapiro and Rabbi Warshawski on Corning 8. And then 12 o'clock is lounge, and 6:30 p.m. tomorrow, we will have Mincha Mariv. The next day, we are going to be starting all together. All of the clergy, both services are going to start together here on the field at 9 o'clock a.m. And we are going to do psuke together, but then we're going to split for shacharit. So Rabbi Kligfeld and Cantor Charney will go into the sanctuary. Rabbi Warshawski and I will stay outside. Rabbi Shapiro will be giving the sermon in the sanctuary that day. I will be giving the sermon on the field that day. And Rabbi Kligfeld will be giving the sermon in library minyan that day at approximately 11:30. But services for library minyan begin at 9 a.m. again in the gym. There's a Tat Rosh Hashanah program at 10:30 that day, and then Rabbi Kligfeld is going to be doing a new program called Learn and Sing, where you will learn and sing. Very good. In Pilch Hall, and then again we will have Mincha Mariv at 6:40 p.m. The only other piece of information that I want to share with you so that you can just be thinking about this moving forward is the last weekend of October. We have our inaugural Baruch Link Scholar in Residence event. I just wanted to get the name correct. We are going to be inviting the author Dorit Rabinian to come and speak to us about the book that she wrote, as well as being able to honor the memory and the legacy that Dr. Baruch Link left behind, both in this community and also in his love for Hebrew literature. So when you are in services tomorrow thinking about what will I be doing on the last weekend of October, that is what you will be doing, and we hope that you'll sign up after the Chag. If you borrowed a machzor, please make sure to put it back so we can use them throughout the holiday. And Shana Tova. Are we ending with something? We will be concluding on page 28 with Yigdal. Huh? And please sing along. Was that to me or to everyone?
Not to everyone, I guess. I could have just said it. Please sing along. Yigdal Elohim chai v'yishtabach nimsa v'heirei el nitziuto echad v'yachid k'yichudo ne'elam v'gam ensof li'achduto ein lo damut haguf v'yeino guf lo na'arok elav kidushato kadmon lechol davar asher nivra rishon min reshit lireshito hino adon olam v'chol notzar yorei gedulato u'malchuto shefa nevuato nitano hail anshe segulato v'tifarto lo kam Yisrael k'moshe yod navi umavit etzimunato Torah temes natan li'am ohel hayad nevio ne'eman beito lo yachal lifahel v'lo yamir darto li'olamim lezulato Sofi ve'odea Sitareinu mavid lesof davar v'kadmato gomer ish chesed k'nifalo noten l'rashara k'rishato yishlach leketz yamin nishicheinu Liftot mechakeketz Yeshuato Neitim Yechayel V'ro Yachasto Baruch Atei Shem Tehilato Neitim Yechayel V'ro Yachasto Baruch Adehad Shem Tehilato.
Good Yantiv, Shana Tova, everyone. See you tomorrow.